What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to cover how to scrape Flippa without having to know any code whatsoever. So if you're unfamiliar, Flippa is one of like the most popular website brokerages in the world. They probably have more volume in terms of websites listed than any other brokerage place on the entire internet. They frequently have over 3,000 websites listed on there at any one time. But there's also not much due diligence or vetting that goes into letting websites or domains or anything get posted on here. Basically, if you want to list something, you can, and Flip is not going to really verify any of the information. So there's a lot of scams that happen here, a lot of ripoffs and stuff like that, and just the sheer volume of websites make it seem daunting, and people are just like, ugh, I'm not going to search through the needle in the haystack to find something good here. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can actually pretty quickly scrape Flippo's website and evaluate the domains to kind of try and find that needle in the haystack. And this is completely free, and you really don't have to understand any coding whatsoever, although we will use a snippet of code, which I'm going to post in the description of this video. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is like the front page of Flippa. Um, so I'm just going to let it reload here. So when you get on here, you browse websites. There's different kinds of things you can find. Me personally, for purposes of this kind of like, video diary that I'm doing, I'm interested in a content site. So that's basically a website that does not sell a physical property. They're either reviewing articles or something like that, but they're not physically selling anything. It's all content. So I'm going to go to content right here. And then again, if you watch the last video, I'm searching for probably review sites that review products on Amazon. And I'm looking for a website that, let's say, is doing anywhere from 500 to $1,500 a month. So there's different filters you can put on here. Any of these metrics right here, you can filter it on, so you can look at it by the monthly users, the page views, the price ranges. Again, Flippa's not verifying any of this, so it's important to keep that in mind. This is just what the seller is saying. So we're going to do some analysis in a second to kind of like try and vet this and get rid of like what we feel the garbage websites are. But for purposes of just kind of what I'm looking at things that are content, so I don't really care what it is as long as it's content. I'm not looking to drop ship products or do a SaaS because that's going to require a lot of coding. Um, and I don't really care about the page views, users, price range. I just want to look at the profit. These things should all be correlated to this, but I have a pretty good idea of what these other metrics are going to be if it's actually making $500 to $1,500. So another good thing to do is to make the age at least 1 year. Some people like to do 2 years. But this pretty much makes sure that like there's not a bunch of fake traffic going to a site. Typically, a site's not going to make much money unless it's a year old. Typically, it needs to be at least 1 to 3 years old to be making some money. But it's within the realm of possibility for websites to be making around $1,000 if it's a year old. Again, you can do it based on how they priced it, the authority score. This is basically how many links are going to the domain. I don't care so much about that, and we're going to look at that in a different way in a second. So I'm not going to mess with this right now, but this kind of cut down the amount of sites that we're looking at a lot, and so did this, just looking at the content site. So if we scroll down here, there's 72 results. So that would take quite a while to like go through each one and click into it and read the description. So like, for example, Trusty Guitar, if you open the link in a new tab, if the Wi-Fi will work, you can see it's like 7 years old, and there's like some metrics here and stuff. And again, we don't really know if this is accurate or not. Again, this looks super sketchy because it just like spikes in December. Yeah, this looks very sketchy. But again, assuming this was legit or wasn't legit, having to go in here and read all this stuff for every site here is just going to be too big of a pain in the butt. So we're going to scrape this, and we're going to kind of vet the domains and the links going to them right off the bat using Ahrefs. So I'm using a Chrome extension right here called Similar Scrape. And so if you right click right here and scrape similar, this little box pops up. And basically, this is scraping the entire web page. So since we expanded it to 75 listings down below, um, it will it's gathering everything on the page. So this is every website on Flippa that meets our qualifications. So I'm going to reset this really quick to our original values. And then right here, I have this code pasted, which again, you don't need to know what this means. It's called XPath. But this is what's going to let us kind of just pull the domains out of here so that we can do deeper analysis on them in a second. So I put this in here and I click scrape and boom, it pulls all the domains out without having to deal with any of the other garbage on the web page. So if we copy this to the clipboard, and then we go to a site called Ahrefs, which this essentially will give you data on any website, and it's very hard to fake on here because Ahrefs is a private company. They're gathering their own data, so it's not like a Google Analytics account where a company could be kind of forging the information. So if we click Analyze right here, it's going to give us all this info on every domain. So the amount of keywords that they're ranking for, the traffic, the domain rating, the amount of referring domains and do follow domains, IP addresses, all that stuff. So if we click export right here and we export it to Excel, and this is going to come out as numbers, which we're not going to use. Forget that. Okay, so if we click in here and we do Command A to copy everything, and then Command C to copy, we can post this into Google Sheets, which is going to be much easier to work with. Great. And then if we want to add a filter to everything, there we go. So now the top row has filters for everything, and we can filter it any way that we want. So I want to look at things by the domain rating, which this is essentially Ahrefs' assessment of like how trustworthy is the site. So like 100 being the most trustworthy, that would be like Google. 1 would be like a website that you just made. So if we want to sort this Z to A from largest to smallest, you can see we have like what are considered like the top domains on here. So looking at the Sharenator, that's probably like some sort of meme site, ArtZealous, Twerking Butt, all blogthings.com. Okay, so this is the one that looks like probably like the first legit site that I'm seeing on here. So if we click on this and we go here, allblogthings.com. So again, they are using AdSense, it looks like. So this blog is probably making money. And then we can go back to Flippa right here, and we can go all blog things. Allblogthings.com. So there you go, making $737 a month, asking price $50,000. So again, this is like just a pretty quick way to kind of rip through all the Flippa stuff, depending on what your criteria are. I mean, you could be looking at, and just the time of year or what's going on. I mean, you could be looking at 300 to 400 sites. So this is a pretty quick way to just kind of look at like what is the referring traffic. And again, you can look at the total backlinks here, the backlink text, total traffic. I don't know why this keeps bouncing over to the right. This should be like one of the top things, but you could search it by the total traffic too, which is another thing I would recommend, because when you look at it this way through Ahrefs, this is just what they're getting through Google. So it kind of cuts out the possibility that like they're sending fake clicks in or something. Like Ahrefs is validating this traffic. So when we do it Z to A, again, Sharenator's up there, a meme site, Android Jungles, that looks semi-legit. That's probably some sort of news site. So it looks like they're reviewing software and just kind of like tech products and stuff. Open to close. Pack Tails, Weave and Pods, the best organic skincare. That's definitely an affiliate site. Um, so again, this is just kind of a good way to look at all the websites on Flippa and kind of figure out like which ones are actually getting traffic or not. Again, there's deeper analysis you can do that's kind of goes beyond the scope of this video. Um, but I think it makes sense that if you have access to Ahrefs and you just like feel overwhelmed with the idea of like trying to vet 400 websites, this is a pretty good way to figure out what your top 5 to 10 websites are without having to like scroll through a bunch of pages. So that's it for this video. Again, I'll be doing more stuff with Ahrefs and like kind of how to like really dig into one of these and figure out if it's a good site or not. But again, I think that a lot of people get scared of Flippa just because they kind of have a reputation of ripping people off, quite frankly. But again, there's tips and tricks, and when you say, "Oh, just scrape the website," that like sounds super complicated, but really it's not. You just gotta copy and paste this little snippet of code into a similar scrape is what the tool is called, and I'll put links to all that in like the description of this video. But yeah, I just thought that that was like a super useful thing that really cut down the amount of time I had to spend just kind of like going through these websites all day, and so I wanted to share it. So thank you guys, and I will talk to you later.